क्विकली आप हमारे व्यूअर्स को बता दें जो स्टूडेंट्स अगर हमें देख रहे हैं बैक इन लाइक इन आवर कंट्रीज what is the RIBA accredited programs here? Because I think it's particularly different from what is
Yeah,
taught in our
you know,
countries.
this is a very important question, I think, because architecture is governed by a statute. So, जो Architects Act है UK में, that decides who can use the title as architect or not. So they have to be licensed. So just like any other profession where anything to do with health and safety is paramount,
Yeah.
so they get regulated. So इस country में there are two bodies, one called the RIBA, which is the Royal Institute of British Architects, and the other called the ARB, which is the Architects Registration Board.
Okay.
So ARB deals with the licensing. So once you want to become a licensed practicing architect, you have to go and register yourself with the Architects Registration Board.
So this is before
No.
your undergrad or like this is after that?
No, once you get into university,
Yeah.
आपका यूनिवर्सिटी में दाखिला हो गया,
Okay.
आप फर्स्ट ईयर में आ गए, यूजुअली आपका BA ऑनर्स आर्किटेक्चर होगा या BSc आर्किटेक्चर होगा. These are the popular terminologies
Yeah.
used.
Yeah.
Now you have to complete 3 stages. The first stage is called the RIBA Part 1,
Okay.
which is a 3 years undergraduate degree,
Yeah.
which you
Okay.
do in an academic environment. University में आप 3 years RIBA Part 1 किया. Now that then gets followed by 1 year of training, typically, which is called a RIBA Part 1 graduate, a year out, which is a salaried position.
Okay.
So anywhere upwards of £25,000, which is a good, decent salary.
Yeah.
Students can then go and work in industry, in practice, in an architect's office, in a construction company.
Yeah.
Also, once you've done that 1 year training, you come back to university and do 2 years of masters, which is
Okay.
the postgraduate, which
Yeah.
will be the M.Arch. तो आपने 3 साल पहले किए अंडरग्रेजुएट,
Yeah.
1 साल
साल
आपने पेड
Experience. Yeah.
आपने वर्क किया इंडस्ट्री में,
Yeah.
वो एक्सपीरियंस लेके आप आए दोबारा यूनिवर्सिटी में, एंड इंटरेस्टिंगली यू गेट अ चॉइस. So you don't necessarily have to be at the same university. So for instance, you could be at Lincoln doing the part 1,
Yeah.
but for the part 2 you could go say at De Montfort, Leicester,
Okay.
or you could say no, I would probably want to be in a bigger city, I want to go to London.
Yeah.
So the system allows you that flexibility that you could do the part 1 in one place, the part 2 in another place. और जब आपने RIBA part 2 कर दिया, which is those 2 years of studies,
Yeah.
the masters,
Yeah.
then you have to do 1 more year of training. So
Okay.
in all it is 7 years, 3 years, followed by either 1 year. Sometimes students do 2 years of training together in one go.
Yeah.
And then you do 2 years of RIBA part 2. And then the part 3 is basically a professional examination.
Okay.
उसमें कोई अलग से पढ़ाई नहीं है. You just sit for a professional examination. Once you do that, you
Yeah.
get the third part.
Okay.
वो आप कर लें, and then you apply for ARB license registration.
Okay.
That is the structured. But इसमें one shouldn't feel overwhelmed and think that, oh, it is a long drawn out, study program. But if it is, a long drawn out study program like 7 years, it is also a very long drawn out career. Because you would find architects working till their late 60s or late 70s also.
Yeah.
So yes, initially, there is 6-7 years of investment, but there is also that long working life
Yeah.
that architects enjoy from.
Yeah.
And then you can also, because it allows the stages, आप उसमें break भी ले सकते हैं. You can take a career break. For
Okay.
instance, जैसे आपने part 1 किया,
हाँ.
you get a job
Yeah.
as a RIBA part 1 graduate, and you want to ensure that, you want to build up your funds and your experience. So as a part 1 graduate, you might think, well, maybe I work for 4 years or 5 years.
Okay.
So you can get absorbed, you can extend that work experience,
Huh.
and you can always come back to do your part 2 a bit later on. It is not time bound. You have to finish those 7 years in 7 years only.
That's a good thing.
It's a very, very,
Yeah, that's
it's a good
very good.
flexible approach.
Yeah.
And so that is how these two bodies operate. ARB or ARB is the
Yeah.
licensing,
Yeah.
and RIBA is the one that goes around different schools of architecture in the UK and globally also, and they validate the architecture degree programs. But it's a very coveted and a very sought after degree. If you have a RIBA part 1, you're considered, very, you would have done really well in architecture.